Jason Symak. I arrived in Germany July 2013. I have an administrative job over here. I came over here with my wife and 2 kids. My wife's from Brazil and I have 2 daughters. And right now we're just loving life, living in Stuttgart area. I was born in Aurora, Illinois, and that's a suburb of Chicago. Most people know it as Wayne's World, where they shot the movie. Around the age of 19, I actually went over to Japan, where I lived for 11 years, and transferred from Japan to New Jersey. And I was in New Jersey for 2.5 years, and then transferred over to Germany. Well, my last year in the Marine Corps, I actually started teaching the martial art program for that service, and it kind of got me interested into fighting. So when I got out of the service in 2002, I actually stayed in Japan with my wife, and at the time I had 1 child, and just joined a local MMA gym called Rodeo Style, and that was my first MMA gym. And I started training casually just to have fun. And eventually when you train, and we had a fighter there, Naoki Kotani, and he actually was a UFC fighter. So you train and spar with some of these guys fighting in big shows, and you say, hey, why not give it a shot? So that kind of sparked my interest when you're training and sparring with these guys already fighting. So I decided to just start doing amateur fights, and these were at light heavyweight. I still stayed at Rodeo Style, but I started fighting, competing maybe 2009, I want to say, or 2008 is when I started amateur. So it was some time when I started after I decided to actually start competing, and started doing the amateur fights in Pancreas. It was a promotion I was always a fan of. Grassroots, good MMA event, Pride Rules. I used to watch it all the time as a fan of the sport. I'd go to the events and I said, oh, someday I want to be in there fighting. I don't want to always sit back and watch. So it became a reality. After your amateur fights in Pancreas, I had a good close friend, Ryu Kawamura. And I believe he's still the King of Pancreas champion right now. And he's the one that kind of coached me along. I then switched gyms to train at Pancreas Gym and fought for Pancreas Show. And it was great. It was simple. Do you want to fight? Okay, yes, no problem. We'll put you in the shows. And after that, my last fight was 2010, June. And then I had to transfer to New Jersey. In New Jersey, I trained at a couple gyms, and I don't mean to publicly blast any of the industry, but you have to be careful going to America with MMA. And I hope all foreigners know this, or Germans, or anyone transferring to the States. Usually they want your bank account and credit card number first. It doesn't matter if you're a professional fighter. They want to make sure they're getting their money. So the first year I ended up paying a lot of money with good training. That included management. We signed for fights in Atlantic City. On 2 occasions, the fights fell through both times, and that's not my gym's fault. It's just how the sport works. But at the same time, being a person that has a family and a job, you're spending just tons of money on the sport and you're not getting anything back. So I decided to take a break. Ran into, I'd say, 2 very reputable people that I respect a lot in the sport. Edson Carvalho, who runs multiple schools out in New Jersey, and Sensei Al Pinto. And both of them kind of brought me in and said, hey, you know, we know that you kind of were let down after you got here, your fights didn't happen, why don't you just come and train at our school? So it kind of got me interested again to get back in the sport, and I was teaching at one of the schools in Randolph, New Jersey. It was basic level MMA and striking. And then we were working on possible fights, if we could find them overseas or in Brazil at that time. And then I got the offer to come to Germany. And that leads me to where I'm sitting here right now talking. About 2 weeks arriving into Germany, I met Alex, owner, founder of Defenders and Age of Cage, and invited me to a Defenders event. And you know, just nice person, another fighter, fan of the sport. And I went to the event, and once again, you know, I see myself watching, and it's not the same when you aren't still getting in there and putting on a fight for the fans either. So I went to several Defenders events. It reminded me a lot of Pancreas, just good MMA. I mean, people in there fighting just to excite fans, love of the sport, the passion's there. And I had a feeling it would come back to where I'd want to fight again. And here I am now, after 4 years away from the sport. The itch came back, and it's time to jump in there and fight. So I will be fighting on April 6th on a Sunday, 4 days after my birthday, because I'm turning 35 on April 2nd. It's going to be at LKA Longhorn, Age of Cage. I'm excited. It's a historic event, first cage promotion for Stuttgart. So that's exciting in itself. Couple different challenges though getting ready for this fight. I'm actually jumping up a weight class. After I took some time off of competing, I decided to lift a lot of weights, put on some more muscle, and jump into the heavyweight bracket, which I always somewhat admired that bracket, as that is kind of the toughest, heaviest bracket for someone to try and get into and to maintain that weight. So this is just another goal of mine, to fight at heavyweight. And as my record stands now, I'm 2-2 as a professional. My opponent, I did do a little research on him, and I know his share dog record, which is what a lot of us go off of, is not completely accurate. It lists him with a different record, but I was told he's 6-1. So he has a good record. I'm jumping up a weight class in heavyweight now. After 4 years of not fighting, I'm a little older, and he had a little layoff too, though. So it makes for an interesting match. You have two guys who are heavier guys. You know, I'm moving up a weight class. He hasn't fought in maybe 2 years or so. I haven't fought in 4 years. He has a good record. I come from Japan. I mean, it makes for an interesting matchup. So I hope the fans, you know, are kind of interested to see a fight like this. You know, we'll go from there. I think it's a good matchup in a sense, too, where we're both somewhat a little older. And I did see some footage on him, and he looks like he fights a well-rounded MMA fight. And that's similar to what I do. I don't go in there just with one solid base of anything. So that's why I'm actually excited and interested to see how this fight plays out. All right, I hope all the fans will come and watch my fight. 4 years after I was retired, coming out of retirement from Japan, fighting all the way in Stuttgart, Germany. Historic event, first cage event that Stuttgart is doing. So it's a great card, a lot of other good fighters on there. We're hoping to put on a great show. Hope that you'll come out and support in great numbers. April 6th, LK Longhorn, Age of Cage. I hope to be on one of these posters someday too, so please come and support.